The recording, by the way, is spotlighted, so your anonymity is, confidentiality is held. Just everybody gets to see me. With a wish for all beings to be free, free of the contraction and constriction of held thought patterns and belief systems, free of the automatic reactivity of learned and held emotional patterns, and free of distorted perception. I will always go for refuge to alive, vibrant, radiant, spacious awareness until awareness is ongoing, like the flow of a river. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the presence of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of any time and or lineage or none at all, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all beings. As long as space remains, as long as beings remain, may I manifest in such a way to ease and dispel the miseries in the universe. Just checking, as you are, of course, very free to say whatever refuge and intention for Bodhisattva. Manlam, intention path, or prayer, is how it's translated. Not a prayer to anything that is separate from you. Let's see. I received some news that one of my closest friends and someone who is just a really bright light in this world is diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig disease, what Stephen Hawking had for so many years. But my friend's is going very, very, very fast. It's a nasty, nasty disease. And so I've been resting in, and then we'll just start the practice. But when something like occurs in our lives that is bigger than we are and kind of shakes that foundation of thought patterns, belief systems, automatic reactivity, and distorted perception. Everything that I've spent so much time in my life worrying about, thinking about, trying to fix, trying to change, it all seems so silly. And yet, it's what we all do. And if my awareness wanders, into habitual patterns, I will land right back there again. So Chenrezig helps us sort of coming through the back door, my experience. helps both. Well, I don't know, it helps lots of things. But mostly, my experience is it helps that tight grip of self protectiveness that most of us carry with the great hope that we won't get hurt. Anybody here never been hurt? Had their heart thumped or had it feel like it was thumped? It's funny, I've been thinking about, and we'll jump in. My son tells me there are scientific experiments going forward at an alarming rate to reprogram messenger RNA to teach the cells to stay at the age of 25, which would pretty much eliminate death. I suppose there might still be death by accident, of course. And we are fond of killing each other. That is said with great heartedness, not fully sarcastic. And I just again looked at it. This friend of mine has lived her life fully. Who knows? She may get bit of an extended time here. We don't know. Lived her life absolutely fully with joy and offerings to so many people. And just at that moment, as my son was describing this, which I was rather horrified by, this eternal life that we could possibly have, I realized what death does bring to us, the illusion of, I'm not going to say illusion, because that makes some of us think, oh, it shouldn't hurt. It does hurt. Wouldn't want it not to hurt. And I had a very clear picture of we can run all our lives away from the fact that we're going to die. People we love are going to die, their form, their body. Or if we embrace it, how would we live? Might we be more free to live openly in every moment, embracing every moment, even the ones that hurt? That's part of being alive. So as we start the Chenrezig practice, sort of started it from when life as we understand it, from what's called the Big Bang, it was set into motion. And if you want, you can start there. As we have some new folks, I thought we might do it a little more traditionally. It really doesn't matter. The whole point of, no, there isn't a point. If we are able, through any practice, to recognize what's called the three kayas, we cannot help but recognize and experience the interconnectedness of all life. And we may be able to experience, not know intellectually. That's all very nice, but it's not the real deal to understand intellectually. It's very limited. Our intellect, very fun, can be, very interesting, can be, but very limited. If we are able really to experience that interconnectedness, where all life, all form arises and dissolves again and again and again and again over endless time. And the fear of this form dissolving and may lessen, and we may be able to set an intention which remains with our waveform, the life that leaves us, this form. Hard to kill life. You may be able to set an intention, but I like to say to go home, to recognize in that very transition that we are the wave and the ocean. We are the vast spaciousness free of duality and the radiant awareness that permeates that space. And we may be present enough to rest into that. So the doorway in this practice, as limited as most of us are in the ability to love and be loved without separation, without a lover and a loved, but simply with love, joy, grief, all the amazing arising of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. What we will do to start is call up, remember, perhaps occurring in this moment, one never knows, an experience that is open-heartedness, open-mindedness. It actually can't be described when it occurs. Everybody I have ever met has experienced this at least once or twice. A feeling of that's very hard to put into words, like a warm wave. Exclusive of no thing or no one. Totally inclusive. As a matter of fact, when this experience arises, though we are quick to name its cause as whatever stimulates that arising, is it our baby when they reach up and touch our cheek? Or we see them sleeping? Or we see them laughing? Is it our puppy? Our kitten? Is it walking in the forest or by the seashore, watching the waves, resting into the motion of the ocean, resting into the deep permeating peace we may experience in the forest. And any word I say is limited. It's not true or real. It's just pointing at that warm wave. Perhaps if you were very lucky, you felt that wave in the presence of loving parents. Perhaps we feel it when certain music moves us out of our ordinary, habitual self-protectiveness, hold of self, and we just open to that music. I don't know if you're all familiar with Hallmark cards or advertisements around Christmas and holidays. They almost always bring tears to my eyes. I haven't gotten so cynical that those don't move me. So we find what moves us, not grasping at it. Maybe with the intention that we recognize that warm wave a little more often. I can tell you that it's the essence of heart. You can call it bodhisattva, you can call it Buddha nature, you can call it all kinds of things. The most amazing thing, and one that might create a sense of compassion and connection with all beings, particularly humans, because human realm, we like to describe it, hold on to it. It's always present. We don't always notice. We're too busy with our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions to relax enough most of the time to rest into it. So today for our practice, whether we call up what we think is the cause, and make an intention to experience as fully as possible, or at least recognize when this experience occurs for us. If you recall it, which is difficult, can't really, but you could get a taste. We can get a taste. When that wave first arises, in my experience, check it out for yourself. There is warmth, physical warmth almost. Maybe not even just almost. And if this I is able to rest in that wave, there is no sense of I or them or it. There actually is no sense of time. Check that out for yourself and see if it's not true. We so quickly grab onto the cause and try to make it happen again. You ever felt that warm wave towards another person, seeming to be the cause? And run and got married, been so happy and got married, and then something seems to change. We've attached that wonderful warmth to a being, and then we want it to keep going. So we start trying to change them, make them be who we want them or need them to be, we're the ones that separate from the wave. Understandable, habitual, I get it. And as we call up a memory of that sensation, or perhaps we can rest into what is always present. Beyond description, unlimited, unbounded, unattached. However this arises for you, whether you remember the devotion of your dog you felt so loved by, or another being, perhaps your teacher. It really does not matter whether you rest into an experience of being loved or loving, because they're never separate. We create that boundary. As you take a moment to rest there, similar perhaps, but not necessarily in any way. I've been told this is not my experience. Can be experienced fairly fully at the moment of orgasm. I'm a little more simple. It's kind of similar, but not it. To after a long day, or however it arises, you offer yourself a warm bath. And that moment of sliding into the water, into the warmth, if you like baths, no sense of separation between you and the water, you and the warmth. And there's almost a sense of, I can rest. Whatever occurs to nurture that feeling, that warmth. I don't even like the label of, for that instant of arising. It is the essence of bodhicitta. Actually, it is bodhicitta. Before we do what we do with everything, grasp, push away, describe, separate from, whatever experience you are calling up in this moment, allow that warmth, that openness, I can't put a name on, to rest into your heart chakra, which is where many times that feeling, that experience is the strongest, although not necessarily. In this practice, we'll visualize, feel, sense a lotus of 1,000 petals in that heart chakra. The lotus, the heart, from our experience of having been hurt, is usually fairly held a bit closed, maybe a lot closed. And we nourish this lotus, our heart, this warm wave, which allows our heart lotus to open into its natural state, out of the muck, the mud, the swampy goop where the lotus originates, rises from, comes the total open beauty of a lotus, where nothing sticks to it. Throw water, just beads and runs off. As our heart lotus opens, that symbol of heart, we see in the inside 6 petals of different colors. Many different descriptions of what these represent. If you choose to follow a Yidam practice fully in the Tibetan manner, it's important to learn them, the symbols, what they represent, the whole thing. But it is like learning another language, so you have to have some patience with it. If you aren't drawn to do that, this is a fairly simple practice. The method of the Tibetans will bring you to that fullness. The method of how we describe it here may be more meaningful to you to taste the essence of what's being pointed at. So we'll mix a little bit. We have the 6 inner petals of different colors, perhaps representing the 6 realms, perhaps representing all life. I'm sure there are a million descriptions. And we start to say the mantra, which is simply the sound symbol of open-hearted, open-minded, spacious love. And please repeat after me 3 times. This is Tibetan, to have the lung. The mantra is Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Pe Me, Hung. Om, Mani, Pe Me, Hung. It is suggested that you continue to say this mantra with a mala if you want, moving 1 bead for each time you say the mantra. It is said that will hold this energy when you need it. You can reach for your mala and be reminded of this essence. If you are a sound person, audio, even, don't know what the right word, or feeling the vibration of the sound in your body, feel it vibrating. You can use your hand on your chest and feel the vibration of the sound. You can hear the sound. Is it inside or outside? Impossible to tell. And as we say the mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, The inner 6 petals of different light start to spin clockwise. You can say it at any rate that's comfortable in this moment. Om Mani Padme Hum. And as those 6 colors, which represent all life, all colors, start to spin, they start to blend together. And as happens organically, when all light blends together, it becomes white. Not a stark white like a spotlight, but a warm light, sparkly, alive, a wave of light, not static in any way, moving. And as that light fills those 6 petals, they extend into rays of that light. Rays that, for me, carry the sound and vibration of the mantra. That fills the lotus, all 1,000 petals, until there are 1,000 rays of light, luminous, vibrant, radiant, radiating out into the universe, touching 1,000 beings, allowing their heart, their lotus to relax and open into its natural essence. And again, those petals extend into rays of light. And now there are 1,000 rays of light. I don't think the math is accurate. We'll stay with the essence. 1,000 rays of light touching 1,000 beings. Some of those rays coming back and filling your lotus, your heart, again and again. Not with the personality of the beings, with the actual essence of interconnected bodhisattva, what is. There is no limit to these rays. They are not limited in time. They can reach into the past, through the present, into the future, into imaginary time. There is no limit in space. As far as your imagination, your creativity, if you will, reaches, these rays of light reach to the edge of the universe, into the multiverse. And there's no limit on the life form that the rays can touch. Inside, touching every cell in your body, micro, what we perceive as inside. Outside, perhaps touching a being so large that we cannot perceive it. The rays can touch insects and whales and trees, ants, worms, whatever you can imagine, those rays can touch. And as they touch again and again, and we are touched again and again, those rays expand so that 1,000 rays are touching 1,000 beings, allowing their heart lotus to relax and open Till there are 1,000 rays of light, touching 1,000 beings, and onward, touching, being touched, being the toucher, until there are an infinite number of rays, touching an infinite number of beings. And there is no thing other than luminous, radiant light. We can imagine this. We can have an experience of this. As a matter of fact, there are innumerable experiences that may arise. If we are lucky enough to fall into, not separate from in any way, what is called Sambhogakaya aspect of heart-mind. It is that very, it isn't it, it's that radiant awareness, aliveness, shared by all beings. From which all beings arise. First, we may imagine this awareness, this embracer and an act of being embraced, radiant aliveness. We are not looking at this, describing this, our habit, yes, in this form. We are this. By practicing, resting, relaxing, we may fall in as this light. Radiance, no good descriptive word. Clearly awareness. Awareness with no self-focus. We are the light. No possibility or need or ability to describe in that moment, as we are that with all other living beings. Timeless, not limited to individual awareness. Probably where omniscience may arise. You may experience no, you won't. There may be awareness. Usually experience, not as somewhat limited, still. Sometimes limited by our need to see something happen. This awareness that we are itself is unlimited. This won't be noticed because there is no describer until we take our own self-focus back. Don't worry, we will. Something occurs. You have to pee, you're hungry. Something always, in my experience, brings us back into our self-awareness. But it's never the same again once we have experienced open awareness. If we have been lucky enough to experience that open awareness, it is not possible for us to attack or be cruel, physically harm any other being. It would be, as somebody described to me, like cutting off your own arm. Bodhisattva. But that's just a name. Can't make that happen, that experience of open awareness. We can only set our intention and allow it to arise. If you happen to be plagued by loneliness, isolation, don't do this practice to get rid of that. We allow this practice without grasping, pushing away, to show us the illusion of loneliness. Those are words that point at it. When you feel lonely, or isolated or completely set apart from all beings. Saying the words, oh, I know this isn't illusion, is next to useless, is it not? Might help a little. As this light with sound, vibration, I suspect we could add smell and taste. I just haven't gone there. Yi, the sense organ that feels emotion, set free of our distortions and self-protectiveness. It's a heck of a refuge. And the cool part is you are the refuge. Never been separate. Unlimited open awareness. Where does it occur? Where does any awareness occur? Feel around for that yourself. Since this awareness, whether it be self-focused or open, clearly is, although we can't actually grasp or find a thing that is that awareness. Likewise, it arises, the very dance of this awareness in the spaciousness, beyond duality, beyond up, down, good, bad. Our self-awareness puts all that on life, trying to stay safe we are. The very dance of awareness, aliveness, permeating all of whatever we perceive, experience as spaciousness. Undeniably present, ungraspable, indescribable. Is it big? Is it small? Is it nope? Those two kayas, dharmakayas, Sambhogaka, where no thing actually moves. And yet we perceive movement. Pretty amazing, huh? Naturally and organically. Interdependently. Can't not have it happen. From this dancing stillness, arise manifestations. Anything and everything may arise. Not separate, never anything other than. Open-hearted, radiant, luminous awareness. Imagine a wave, every wave in every ocean. If it were formed with the survival instinct, a need to protect itself. How very silly. For, seems silly with the wave. It's what we do. No wave arises independently. No wave is an individual. Can you imagine, if there were awareness, the suffering of all waves trying to hold their form above all else, not recognizing what Thich Nhat Hanh, that quote I just love. Enlightenment for a wave is realizing it's water. That wave rises, it dissolves right back into what I call home, and has never left for an instant. We can only rest here again and again, not trying to get rid of anything. No fighting that survival instinct. It is strong. Probably why species survive. I think sometimes we bring all the light that we've sent out to the universe or beyond. Those rays, sometimes we bring them back into our heart chakra, the lotus, center of the lotus, where sits a little syllable, yet again, seed syllable, a symbol of Chenrezig, who is a symbol of the open-hearted, open-minded essence of all beings. With your permission today, I'd like to leave all the kayas dancing together. they've never been separate. We do love to name the parts of everything. And in our mind, heart, we can, and in science, if you want to go to Western science, we can look at everything that arises and try to break it down. Okay, our body has parts, legs, arms, eyes, head. Let's break that down. Keep breaking things down. There is no thing we can find. Well, we thought it was atoms. Well, no, turns out they have parts. We thought all those little tiny parts. Okay, we got it now. No. And when everything is stripped, I don't want to go too far with this, but it's sort of lovely. There is no thing we can find. And yet, clearly there is light. Very hard to deny that. And yet you can't find anything solid. Heck, light itself. Photons can be waves or particles. Things could pop in and pop out. What the heck? Where do they go? There's no thing to hold on to as a solid reality. And yet, I feel pretty solid. Just rest there. Again and again. I'm going to leave you to rest there. I think that's enough words. Thank you. Translators, always. I thank each of you for being here as we create this together. May all beings, whether we call this magic, refuge, it's never been about the name. May all beings have such experiences. May all beings be freed from the trap, the very cause of suffering. Of believing in our individual, independent existence. may we all keep walking together, traveling together. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time.